Walk down the cobblestone streets of a historic seaside town, and you might expect the air to be filled with music from buskers, the scent of fresh pastries, and the lively chatter of tourists from around the globe. But today, the sounds are quieter, the crowds are thinner, and something feels missing. As you pass shop after shop, you notice the same thing: the big brand retail stores you used to see here are gone. No more familiar clothing chains, no iconic flagship stores with huge window displays. Instead, there are 4 lease signs, dusty glass doors, and darkened interiors. This isn't just happening in one place, it's happening in tourist hubs all over the world. From the streets of New York's Times Square to the bustling shopping districts of Barcelona and the vibrant markets of Bangkok, retail chains are pulling out. It's a global trend with deep consequences. And whether you're a traveler, a local worker, or a policymaker, you need to understand why this is happening, and what it means for you. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and tap the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the stories that shape our lives. 1. The global tourism downturn. Tourism is one of the most powerful economic engines in the world, and for decades, it's been reliable. According to the UN World Tourism Organization, international tourism generated over $1.4 trillion in export earnings in 2019. Then came the pandemic, and everything changed. Lockdowns froze international travel. Airlines grounded fleets. Hotels stood empty. Even when borders reopened, the return to pre-pandemic travel patterns never fully materialized. Instead of long-haul vacations to distant countries, many travelers opted for regional getaways, road trips, or even staycations. This shift meant fewer people walking the streets of the world's most popular tourist zones. For retail chains, these areas were once gold mines, places where constant crowds guaranteed sales. But now, foot traffic is inconsistent, and the cost of operating in prime tourist locations is harder to justify. Even after tourism numbers began to recover in 2023 and 2024, inflation, high interest rates, and increased travel costs kept many would-be visitors at home or pushed them toward cheaper destinations. 2. How policy shifts shape foot traffic. Tourism doesn't exist in a vacuum. Political decisions, from trade policies to visa regulations, directly influence where people travel and how much they spend. During Donald Trump's presidency, for example, tariffs and trade tensions with key countries like China not only impacted the cost of goods but also strained diplomatic relationships, discouraging travel from those regions. When a tourist from China or Europe has to pay more for goods in the US due to tariffs, combined with a strong US dollar making their trip more expensive overall, the appeal of visiting American tourist hubs diminishes. Similar policy-driven challenges exist elsewhere. In parts of Europe, rising VAT rates and increased tourism taxes have also discouraged spending in city centers, especially for visitors traveling on tighter budgets. For retail chains, the math is simple: if fewer high-spending tourists are coming, and operational costs are climbing, it's smarter to scale back or leave entirely. Even companies that once considered these stores essential for brand visibility are now questioning whether the investment is worth it, especially in an era where online platforms can reach global customers without expensive physical locations. 3. Shifting consumer behavior. Even when tourists still come, how they shop has changed. The explosion of e-commerce means travelers often compare prices online before they buy, and they're not afraid to order from their phones instead of making a purchase in store. Consider luxury brands like Louis Vuitton or Gucci. Tourists once traveled specifically to buy items they couldn't get at home or to take advantage of tax-free shopping. Now, with global shipping and online tax rebate systems, those incentives have weakened. And for mainstream retailers like H&M, Zara, or Nike, there's another problem. Travelers can find the same products in their own cities, often at lower prices and without the hassle of transporting them. Add to this the "experience over things" trend. A 2024 survey by Expedia showed that 67% of travelers prefer to spend on experiences, dining, tours, adventure activities, rather than retail shopping. This cultural shift has left big-box retailers in tourist zones struggling to adapt, forcing many to rethink store formats, offer more experiential shopping, or close locations that no longer generate enough value. 4. The economic domino effect. When a major chain leaves, the effects cascade through the local economy. These stores often serve as anchor tenants, drawing consistent crowds that benefit smaller nearby businesses. Without that traffic, local boutiques, restaurants, and service providers can suffer a sharp decline in sales, sometimes within just a few months. Take Honolulu's Waikiki district as an example. When several global clothing brands closed their beachfront locations in 2023, local cafe owners reported drops in foot traffic of up to 40%. Souvenir shops saw sales decline, and tour booking offices reported fewer walk-in customers. In some cases, neighboring businesses were forced to cut staff or shorten hours. It's not just about one store closing, it's about the ecosystem collapsing around it. Travel guides and influencers also play a role in amplifying this effect. When iconic shopping spots vanish, destinations lose part of their draw for certain types of tourists. That means fewer visitors overall, further accelerating the decline and making it harder for the area to bounce back without significant intervention. 5. The human cost. Behind every closure is a human story. Many of the jobs in tourist zone retail are part-time or seasonal, employing students, retirees, and those who rely on flexible schedules. When a store shuts its doors, dozens of people can find themselves out of work almost overnight, leaving families scrambling to cover basic expenses. In places like Las Vegas, where entire sections of the Strip have seen retail reshuffling, hundreds of workers have had to either relocate or switch industries entirely. Some have been forced to leave the city in search of work, breaking long-standing community ties. This creates additional pressure on housing markets, public assistance programs, and community stability, as displaced workers compete for limited resources. For some workers, the closure of a chain store means losing not just a paycheck but also health insurance, retirement benefits, and a sense of purpose. Long-time employees often carry years of brand loyalty, making the sudden loss feel deeply personal. These are losses that ripple far beyond the balance sheets of the corporations making these decisions, leaving scars in both the local economy and the lives of those affected. 6. What it means for travelers. If you're a traveler, you might notice the change in subtle ways. Maybe your favorite brand's flagship store isn't there anymore. Maybe the variety of shops has shrunk, and what's left is a mix of tourist trinket stands and empty storefronts. For some travelers, this could be an opportunity, a push to discover local artisans, family-run boutiques, and one-of-a-kind souvenirs. But for others, especially those who rely on familiar brands for quality or sizing, it can be frustrating. Travel guides and influencer content will also shift to reflect these changes, emphasizing food tours, cultural activities, and nature-based experiences over shopping itineraries. While this could enrich the travel experience for many, it marks the end of an era for those who once saw shopping as a core part of their trips. 7. Possible solutions. Cities and communities are experimenting with ways to reverse the trend. Some are offering tax breaks and rent incentives to keep big retailers in place, while others are embracing the shift by supporting local entrepreneurs and independent creators who bring unique value to the area. For example, Barcelona's Gothic Quarter has transformed former chain retail spaces into shared artisan markets, where multiple small businesses can coexist under one roof. In New Orleans, some empty retail properties have been converted into cultural centers hosting live music, art exhibitions, and community workshops, attractions that align more closely with modern tourism trends and encourage longer visitor stays. Marketing strategies are also evolving. Instead of promoting luxury shopping streets, tourism boards are focusing on food, history, and unique experiences that can't be replicated online. In some cases, the departure of chains has opened the door for more authentic, community-driven development that fosters deeper cultural connections between visitors and locals. The retreat of retail chains from tourist zones is not just an economic adjustment, it's a reflection of how our world is changing. It's about shifts in how we travel, what we value, and how businesses respond to evolving global realities. For some destinations, it's a crisis. For others, it's an opportunity to reimagine themselves for a new generation of travelers. And for you, whether you're planning your next trip or trying to keep your local economy alive, it's a reminder to pay attention, because the landscapes we take for granted today might look very different tomorrow.